All right. And what else do I want to do here? All right, hold on. Let me stop sharing this real quick. All right, so we're live now. Okay. I'm actually going to move you all up here. All right. Now, let me see. All right. Okay, parents, welcome, welcome, welcome to our first webinar. Our series is called Engaging Families, and part one is parenting during a pandemic. This is just HBCA's way of just trying to make sure that we stay connected with each and every one of you. We didn't want So we didn't want to just allow the teachers to come in contact with the students, but we also wanted to make sure that excuse me, my family is real, okay? Guys, I'm actually live right now. Okay, there you go. See, it's family, parenting. I'm not parenting, but I have family, okay? But we didn't want to lose this opportunity to connect with each and every one of you, okay? So we're actually going to get started. I want to introduce our panel to you first. First, we have one of HBCA's parents, Aisha Lancaster. She's also a part of our PPA, but I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, okay?
Hello, my name is Aisha. A lot of people call me Buffy, so I also go by that name. I am a parent of a first grader at Highland Park. He has been there for the past 3 years. Um, I also have two bonus sons who are 11th graders and ninth graders this year, all boys. So pray for me. um, and I think that's it. Like, I'm excited to be here. So thank you, Ms. Wright. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. And then we have Reverend Altheria. Am I saying that right? Altheria Barnett. Yes. So she's a member of First Baptist Church of Highland Park, but I'm going to let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Altheria Barnett. I have been a member of First Baptist Church of Highland Park for 25 years. I am currently the youth minister at First Baptist, but most of all, I am a seminary student at Maple Springs Bible College and Seminary. And I have been graced by Mrs. Wright to work with you all on these parenting seminars to help get my hours, because I will be graduating this spring with my Master's of Divinity in Christian Counseling.
Yay, that's so awesome. Yeah, because Highland Park Christian Academy, we do not have a counselor. I'm not saying that you should be our counselor, but we just don't know what the Lord will do. So thank you, thank you, thank you to both of you. So parents, so you know how tonight is going to go. We really want this to be an open discussion, open conversation. We want your input. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, it says like Q&A. That's where you want to type in your questions and or comments. I'll be monitoring the questions and the comments, and I'll be sharing it with the panelists as well. You know, definitely we're going to honor your time. We set aside just 1 hour. However, if we're finished before 1 hour, then we're finished before 1 hour. So let's just pray first, and then we'll jump right in. Our Father and our God, Lord, we just come right now to say thank you for being our God and our King, for being everything that we need you to be in our lives. I lift up the panelists to you, Mrs. Lancaster and Reverend Barnett, and I pray you infuse them with your Holy Spirit, give them the right words to say, let them be sensitive to Holy Spirit as they give advice. And I thank you for our parents that are listening. I pray, Lord God, that they will be blessed by this time that we have together. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. So I thought that this first series that we will talk about actual parenting during the pandemic, because it's so different. We already know that parenting can be a struggle already, but now our parents are homeschooling. They are working from home. Their children are now their co-workers. Everybody is constantly together all the time. So I thought that this would be a good way for us to start off. So with everyone at home, typical schedules have fallen by the wayside, which can feel unnerving to everyone. Whether your child has distance learning or not, structure or consistency, it can be very, very comforting to know that there's some kind of support system. And some experts say in order to keep your children's minds and their bodies active, there needs to be a healthy balance or a healthy mix of structure and fun. It can't be all work, really, because that's going to drive them crazy.
That's true.
It has to be structure and it has to be fun. So my question to you, Mrs. Lancaster, is how are you and your family coping with creating a structure for the entire household, number one, because you mentioned you have all boys, you have high schoolers, and you have an elementary. Did you say middle school too?
No, he's
Oh,
no
two high schoolers,
high school,
right?
two high schoolers. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure that they have schedules from their schools. So how are you guys coping?
Yes. First of all, it's a lot. My middle son actually is a freshman at a Catholic high school, and they require them to come in 4 days a week. So that is a stressor in itself of just making sure he stays with his PPE safe and getting him regularly tested just to make sure that he doesn't bring anything back home. So that can be sometimes a little stressful because he also plays basketball. So they do keep it very structured on how many people, it's just the team in there. The games are no spectators. Everything is seen online, but it's still nerve-wracking because there's other teams coming in the gym. And you just never know. You just don't know what other people are doing. So that's one aspect of it. But as far as the structure with the two that are home, my oldest son really loves independence. And I'm really grateful for this season because in school was a struggle for him almost balancing all the classes, but at home he has been able to really thrive. So it's really been able to help me to get off his back some and just allow him to just do his work, which he is doing greatly. So it's great because we get to have a lot of one-on-one time when he has free time to sit down and just chat in the middle of his day. He works now, so he is learning how to balance school and working and tiredness and still having to get up at 7:30 in the morning for school. And with my youngest son, him being in first grade, he's just not understanding. It's still a hard, like he gets it, but it's still a struggle trying to understand why he has to sit in one space all day on this computer and why is there so many classes? Like why it just can't be a half a day every day? So for him, what I love to do is when he goes on lunchtime, one of the things he loves to play at this age is video games. So after he has lunch, I allow him to play video games. Some days it's too much, so I'll just tell him like, hey, why don't you go take a nap or just lay down and watch TV. Usually after school, we try to either meet for my youngest one, I try to meet with my sisters and my nieces and nephews at the park on a good day so that they can just have like an outlet. My oldest son goes to the gym a lot with my husband. That's their bonding time. So they'll go out and hang out. So we just try to create some type of structures. But I do just really love to let them be independent. I've let them create this school experience for themselves because I'm still working. So I can't handle everybody's schedule. That's one. And as far as fun, we just like to have family fun activities. We definitely do family outings at least at minimum twice a month, at minimum, but try to do more than that.
So that's good. I mean, I like how you said that you allow them to kind of navigate this on their own. Not that you're not there, but you're really showing them and you're building accountability within them,
Yes.
taking responsibility, which is a part of our HBCA motto. But I'm wondering if at any point, when did that turn for you where you felt like, okay, let me not hover so much, because we do still have some helicopter parents that will not leave their ambassador side. They feel like they have to sit right there with the ambassador. That can be unnerving for the student as well, because then they're looking to the parent all the time for the support. So when did you kind of turn the corner to say, okay, I can back up now. The schedule is in place. We know that it's going to be some fun later on or whatever. When did you turn that corner?
Okay, so I knew I wanted this outcome after the end of last school year, and having to be so hands-on and having to really not get any work done. I wasn't getting any, I could not work at all because a lot of my youngest homework had to be turned in like video wise, and he was struggling with doing that. So I knew at that point this school year had to look a little bit different. So when it came down to it, I sat down, we had the conversation like, listen, I still have to work, your dad has to work, y'all gonna have to do things differently. So we, instead of everybody being in the living room, in the kitchen and all that, I asked them, how does school look like to you? One kid wanted the desk in their room. The other kid was like, nah, I just want to sit on my bed. That's my oldest one. I'm like, okay, you can sit on your bed, but you can't lay in your bed. So I'll allow you to do it as long as you still get dressed, still sit up, and still be present in class. And that's worked. It's worked for him. Now, do I open up the door all the time? I do. Are you there? Are you in class? Let me see. I am that mom. As far as Mason goes, I can hear him. So I'm in another room. I'm in the living room, but I can hear what's going on with him. So he wanted his room. He wanted some lights up, some stuff on the wall, trying to make his room look cool. And I did that because it made it a better space for him. But I knew for myself that I needed to work and I needed some peace. I could not do it all. So therapy helped a lot this first.
Yes, we all can benefit from therapy. You hear us, Reverend?
I'm listening.
So now, just hearing what you've heard so far, Reverend Barnett, from Aisha or Mrs. Lancaster, do you have any suggestions for our parents in terms of why there needs to be a healthy balance between structure and play?
Well, one thing, as you stated earlier, children have to do something other than learn. They need that time to just relax and play. That helps them to learn actually better because they have a chance to work off some of that extra energy that they're not able to utilize when they're sitting in front of a computer. We don't like sitting in front of a computer all day long. So you can imagine a child, their attention span is so small that they have to have those little breaks in between. And so it's just best all the way around for us to have those little breaks and moments like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, and parents, just a reminder, if you have a question or comment about anything that you're hearing tonight, please make sure you just put it in the Q&A section, or if you can't find it at the bottom of your screen, you can always use the chat box. So that was challenge number one, was struggling with schedules. So now let's move to the second challenge, or most common challenge that parents are wrestling with, which is constant togetherness. And I don't think it's just parents. I think it's families in general just constantly being together during this time. Um, they're together at home all day. And at some point, though, you do need some like alone time, like just some me time. And it's healthy to be together, but it's also healthy to kind of be apart. Now, one of the things that I was nervous about with our students being out of school was the fact that they were going to miss their friends tremendously. And I knew that that would create some trauma on some level, because some of them have been together since they were 2 years old. You know, their friends have now kind of become their brothers and sisters, and they were constantly together all the time. Now they are apart. And I noticed, like online, they can't wait to just see each other because they miss the fact that they're together. But at home with your family, it's like, sometimes you're like, would you just please go in another room here? So I'm gonna start with you, Reverend Barnett. What advice can you offer to HBCA families to connect with each other, but also create that space where families can have like some alone time?
Well, I tell you what, it's very important to have some alone time. Everybody needs some me time. And I know being a parent is hard to do that if your children are small. If you have teenagers like Miss Lancaster's already told us about, they don't want to be around you anyway. Most of the time, the teenagers are in their own room. They can't go out and hang out with their friends, but they'll go in their own space because it's their space. And they don't have to be bothered with family until they have to be bothered with family. So they come out to eat. We know they're going to come out for food. And, you know, they'll come out when mom says it's time to move, or dad says, let's do this, that, and the other. But other than that, teenagers don't want to be bothered with you. Smaller children is totally different because they actually need you more. So when you have really small kids, then you don't have a whole lot of time for yourself. So most of your time is going to be spent alone when you have them taking a nap, or when they are going to bed, or even if it's a time where, as Ms. Lancaster alluded to, giving them a time to play on that video game where they can play and you can just sit back and just de-stress yourself. When they go to bed, there's an opportunity, mom and dad, to get together, maybe be able to watch a movie. Maybe mom can go take a nice bubble bath or something of that nature just to de-stress. But when they're really small, it's really difficult. So we have to find creative ways just to do something for us where the kids can do something for them and we can have our time for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think part of that, like for some of our parents, that alone time did come when the little ones were at school, but now they're at home with them, and I think that is very true. And see, the reason why I wanted to bring up this question too is because not all children are extroverted. Some are introverts, so they don't like constant togetherness, and introverted people recharge when they're alone doing their own activity, whether it's reading a book or like playing video games or what have you. So I definitely think that that is something important. We do have a question. So this is from one of our parents of a sixth grader. Hello. From Mrs. Wingfield, Douglas's mom. I have a suggestion. Could the teachers allow the students to have a stretch break in their classrooms? Hopefully, well, you do have a middle schooler. I think sometimes we don't do enough for middle schoolers because we're like, well, they're old enough, you know, they can just, they're self-sufficient. But younger students, they do get brain breaks throughout the day. But I think we do need to do a better job with the stretching and the things of that nature. But here's what I do know, that the teachers are very flexible in terms of if a child needs a break, you just say, hey, I need a break. They can turn off their video camera. As long as they're not going to get on YouTube or anything like that, they can stretch or do whatever. But middle schoolers, yes, their schedule is much more demanding than our younger students. But we will, thank you, Mrs. Wingfield, for that suggestion. I'm trying to see if there's another one. Okay.
I was
Okay.
going to just to piggyback off of what Ms. Barnett said. I do think agree. I totally agree. Like the older kids, my when you well, also you Miss Right when you said about the introvert. My oldest son is an introvert, and so he does like to be around us, but there's moments where he just does not want to talk to us, and I'm okay. And I've learned him to know, like, all right, you just want to sit in your room, that's fine. Um, my middle son is at that awkward age where he just wants to be in his phone all the time, but then says we don't spend time with him. Sir, you're on your phone. I don't know what you want to do. And I always tell him, I'm not going to force relationship with you. Like I'm going to allow you to create the space that you want. So if you want time with me, come, come get the time. But if you don't, I'm just going to say, I'm going to check on you, say you're okay, and, keep going. As far as my youngest, he doesn't give me space. Even on the game, sometimes he tries to find me and the space is not given. And I have to tell him I just need space. And I'm working on that. I'm working on the space with him a lot. But the connection with the kid, with other children, I think that's why I really wasn't big on the video games and like never really wanted to push play a lot of video games. But the video games he does play, he plays with all his friends and his cousins. And so he gets to talk to them all the time. They, even after school, his teacher allows some of the kids to stay on the meet call to just communicate. They just sit there and talk. They'll play Roblox together or show each other something in their house or something, that I always love and appreciate that too. So they so the video games I do get a little space and time, but not always. He finds time to find me.
Yeah, the middle child, I'm a total middle child. I understand it. We're totally confused. We're not the baby, we're not the oldest, whatever. So just be nice, be gentle. He's going to be fabulous, okay? He's going to be okay. All right, so let's go to challenge number 3, news overload. Okay, now let me tell you. Now, I don't know about you all, but I had, did you guys have like breakdown moments when all of this hit? Like, you just like, it all came crashing down?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, so like my breakdown moment wasn't because I was watching too much news. It was really, centered around all the injustice when it happened with like George Floyd and things like that. Like I literally just broke down. But one of the things I had to notice was I had to like unplug or either turn the channel. Because if it wasn't about George Floyd or injustice and protesting, it was about coronavirus. And it was just a constant stream of news. And I'm quite sure that we have a lot of ambassadors who are very inquisitive. They wanted to know, why can't I come to school? So I'm interested to know from you, Mrs. Lancaster, number one, what did you tell at least I can imagine your older ones could understand it a little bit better than Mason, but like, what did you tell Mason when he's like, why can't I go to school? That's number one. But also, how honest were you about what was going on, whether it was coronavirus, whether it was injustice, protests, whatever, because it was a lot going on at one time.
No, absolutely. That time was tough for my household, especially because, like I said, I have 2 high schoolers that we can't sugarcoat. I have all boys, and they have to know what's going on and what people think of them in this world. We have to be real about that. They are 6-foot boys. My boys are both 6 feet and tall, and my middle son is very, darker complexion than my other 2 boys. So, some conversations we tried to have not around Mason. My husband would take them separately and try to have it, but for the most part, just sitting at the dinner table or talking about something. Mason heard a lot. I tried to make sure everything fit his age range, importantly. Secondly, he is one, I know from the way he can take on a lot and like grieve. And I didn't want him grieving. I didn't want him worrying. every day, like, oh my God, this is happening. He did feel that way a little bit about COVID, but I made him see the positive things about COVID. Like, look how we get to spend time together, and I get to do school with you, and I'm home, and we get to immediately go outside, or you can play your game. You got free time you don't have to wake up as early. So I tried to spend those things, the injustices. What I did was we went down to the Black Lives Matter Plaza. We went on the Sunday morning when it was not any protest schedule, and it was just a fun time. And what I was grateful for was that people were out there giving out snacks, even during the pandemic. It's weird, but people were giving out snacks. People were taking pictures. It was music. It was fun. It felt so lighthearted. It was a poster that he could sign, and it made him understand it a little bit better, like everything that was going on. And it didn't seem so heavy to him, that he actually, and he wore a shirt that said "My Life Matters." And when I say that boy is proud every time he wears his "My Life Matters" shirt, he is. He really is.
Yeah, that's amazing. I did see some of the pictures that you took with Mason while you all were downtown, and I think that is a healthy thing that you did, because for you to have all males, like you said, they're Black boys. You don't ever want the last image of them, I mean, that they see is a Black man dying again. You want them to just be able to embrace their culture and understand that that's not who we are, to lay on the ground and have somebody's knee on our neck. So in terms of the news, Reverend Barnett, what are your suggestions? I mean, I can tell, first off, anyone suffering from anxiety, like myself, I have to know my boundaries. So I know when I'm like getting to the point where I'm on anxiety overload, I have to start thinking, okay, what is triggering it? Am I watching too much news? If so, I need to turn that off and maybe watch something fun-hearted or what have you. So my question is, how much is too much? What are the healthy boundaries we need to set?
All day is too much. I recommend to people that I have spoken with that if you have to look at the news, turn it on in the morning and shut it off. They're going to replay the same thing over and over and over again. You don't have to listen to it all day long and put that in your spirit, because that's not what you want in your spirit. And if you need to do it again, do it at night, not too late, because you want to be able to rest well. But so twice a day is more than enough. It's actually more than enough. And as you said, it's a lot of times because it's so much on there that's really not good for us. I have family members that can't even watch the news because what it does is it triggers too much of the past for them. And then they would want to go out and do something to the people that they see in the present. So they avoid the news altogether. So whatever is important, they expect for somebody to let them know about it. But other than that, they don't watch it at all. So we just have to be mindful not to overload ourselves, because that's definitely not good for our spirits. Once or twice a day is more than ample.
And then when we're thinking about younger children, even younger than Mason, Mason is in first grade. So is he 6 yet?
He's 7.
Oh, he's 7. I'm sorry. So he's 7 years old. But some students younger than even 7, how to explain to them in a developmentally appropriate way about, what's going on. I find that it's just helpful to be honest, but not too graphic with them, because you don't want them to have like nightmares, but just, yes, there's a virus going on. I'm so glad that our STEAM teachers, one of the projects that they did early on was about germs, because then they could actually get a visual of, how viruses or bacteria actually works. So I would say to parents, my suggestion is, even for younger students, is you want to be honest, but you don't have to be too honest. And now they're all freaking out about what's going on, especially on the COVID-19 side. I think it's a judgment call when it comes to explaining to your children about the injustices and things of that nature that may be going on. And right now, the voting season, I think that's a judgment call. You know your children better than anyone else. But I do think honesty is so very, very important.
Most definitely. You really do want to explain things to them in an age appropriate way.
Yes.
Don't give them too much information when they're young, but make sure there's enough. And, you know, boys, especially our Black boys, have to be told so much, and they have to be prepared for life, because this is the world we live in. Unfortunately, you would think at this day and time, we wouldn't have to go through that, but we really do. And most other races don't have to talk about when you leave home at night, what you need to do to make sure you can get back home. If you ever get stopped by police, what do you need to do? You know, we grew up knowing that, okay, you need, if cops stop you, both of your hands need to go on the steering wheel. And when they ask you for something, then you need to say, I am reaching for whatever it is, before you can even take your hands off the steering wheel. We don't want to give them any reason to use any unnecessary force against our boys. And so those are the conversations we have to have with our children. Other races don't have to have with theirs.
Yep, and that's absolutely true. I'm glad you just said that, because I generally get creative ideas just through conversations. And I'm just wondering, like, we just need to have like some kind of webinar with dads and the boys of Highland Park, just so that they can have their own conversation. Because as Black women, yes, we can have our sons, and not everybody's going to agree with what I'm about to say, but this is my opinion. But I am the firm belief that Black men can raise their Black sons to be men. Like, in other words, I just don't feel like that's necessarily the mother's job to raise their sons to be men, unless they absolutely have to, because they're single parents, which my mom was, and so she had to raise my brothers. But I just feel like when the dad is in the house, in the home, then that is the one that is raising sons to be fathers, or sons to be men. So thank you for saying that, because that kind of gave me an idea. So hopefully my opinion didn't offend any of the moms. I didn't mean it like that. It's just my opinion. So let's keep going. We're almost there. So challenge number one was struggling with schedules. Number 2 was constant togetherness. Number 3 was news overload. All right, so now number 4, this is interesting. Different personalities. Woo! Different personalities. So staying at home all day can reinforce, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but it can reinforce like anxiety or anxious feelings in some children, especially your introverted kids, okay? Why? Because again, introverts recharge best when they're alone doing what they want to do. So the fact that they can't necessarily get away kind of elevates their anxiety, okay? And then the extroverted children right now could be depressed because I don't have my friends. I want to be with my friends. I want to talk. I want to play. I want to whatever. So right now the anxieties are all over the place. But how are you all? Well, let's start with you, Ms. Lancaster, because you are a party of 5. Party of 5.
Party of 5 here.
I'm quite sure you have party of 5 different personalities as well. So
yes. Multiple personalities. I'll just say, between me and my husband, I am the extrovert. I'm the outgoing one. I'm the party person. I'm the one to, let's go do X, Y, Z. Like, that's me. He is the more introverted type, but he loves to get out the house. Like, he needs change of scenery. That's it. Mason, do you want to say hi? You can say hi because he's here. Say hi.
Mason, hey, buddy.
I was right.
Okay. I told you.
That's Ms. Lancaster's co-worker. He comes to all of her Zoom calls.
Meeting. Every one. So my husband also needs change of scenery, but he's an introvert. So just knowing that at least once or twice a month we have to go on date night, like at least once or twice. And thankfully we have older boys, praise the Lord. So we have babysitters for free. So we do try to do date nights or date days or date mornings with breakfast, lunch, sometime. We try to get out of the house because he needs that. He's good being home, but he does need just a little outness. I'm the opposite. I'm outgoing. I need community and people, but I'm good being at home. Like I'm just like, as long as I can talk to somebody. My oldest son, like I said before, he's an introvert and he's good being in his room. Even if his brother is around, even if the other boys are around, he's okay with that. And I think he gets his outlet at work. When he goes to work, that he gets that little, he just stays at his own little station at Popeyes and doesn't worry about anybody else. He don't really bother anybody. Everybody, the manager says he's a great employee. I think that's his alone time there where he's not around us. My middle son is in between of being an extrovert and an introvert. Some days he doesn't want to be bothered. The other days he does, but he's in that middle stage where he really needs friends and wants to go hang out at the mall and wants to just like every weekend, can I go here? Can I go there? And it's just like, it's not the same. We can't really, always do that. And then Mason is my extrovert. He always wants to go out. He always wants to do something else. What's next? Are we going to trampoline park? Are we going here? Are we going there? So just being at home isn't enough for him. So balancing those personalities are difficult at times, but I know, like at the end of the day, I know my kids. So at that point, it makes it easier to flow with them. It makes it easier to understand them. And I know their needs. I know their needs. I know their wants. And I kind of go from that retrospect, like what works for you? What works for him? What works for each individual child? What works for my husband? What works for me? And we all just create that space and make it like one cohesive thing. So we all get our times. I do my self-care things monthly to make sure I to recharge myself. And and then we make the family time good for everybody, something that everybody, especially since my boys are older, they don't want to go to trampoline park anymore like they used to. So I have to do that. That's mommy Sunday. That's me and Mason's date sometimes. But when it's all of us, they like to eat, like she said. So we go to dinner a lot.
So Reverend Barnett, so what kind of advice can you give to our families about navigating the different personalities?
Well, you know what? Mrs. Lancaster seems like she has everything down pat in her house because she's doing all the right things. Every child is different, and she's taking the time to learn her children, know what works best for them. She knows that she has an extrovert, and that person needs to get out. They need to be around people. They don't like to be isolated. And she knows that. And so she gives him that a little space to do some of the things that he needs to do. She knows about that middle school, that middle child that hasn't quite found himself yet and doesn't know where he wants to be. But, she's working with him and trying to help him resolve that and get to where he needs to be. And then you got the extrovert Mason that wants to be in everything. And she's letting him navigate that. She's going to let him be a child as long as he can be a child. And so he can flow in the direction that he needs to flow. We had that conversation prior to us coming online. But, most parents don't know that. A lot of parents don't really spend enough time with their children to know those things about them. So you really do need to get to know each of your children, know what works best for them. Ms. Lancaster, I just want to tell you, I had 3 boys myself. Every one of them was different.
I'm not alone.
To learn each individual child and do what works best for them. And then when you come together, do what works best for the family. Now, I want just how many Zoom dates does Mason have a week? Because Zoom dates.
Like with his friends?
With his friends and cousins. Oh. Sound like you say he meets up with them quite often.
Yes. So he like at the school he'll sit online and they'll stay on for maybe like 30 minutes. As far as the game goes, he has a headset. So it connects to the Fortnite game. So they talk through that and then he's on his iPad. They have group FaceTime. Way too much. But that's daily. It misses no time in the
Okay.
morning, at night, all day.
And see, but she knows that about her family, and that's important. And those are some of the things that I actually had written down. So you're already doing all the good stuff.
Look at you. All right. So you said something, well, both of you, this is so fruitful, by the way. And I just want to just say thank you again while we're in the middle of this, as we're turning the corner to kind of wrap up. I do see your question in I see your question, okay, and I'm gonna get Reverend Barnett to answer in just a moment. But I think it's so important to embrace the different personalities because I think we do children a disservice trying to make them be the same. You know, like one of the things I try to stress at Highland Park is one size doesn't fit all. And I'm not just talking about academics. You got to know, like you said, the difference in each child because not everybody's going to grow up to be the same adult. And we can say, oh, I treat all of my kids the same. That is not true. You don't, because at different points, somebody's going to need more from you, mom or dad, than someone else. So you can't always treat each of your children the same all the time. It just depends on their needs. Yeah, so I just wanted to do that. Let me see, someone put in the chat, as hard as this pandemic has been on a lot of families, I truly believe that many families will be strengthened and healed during this time. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, families will definitely be strengthened. What do you all think about that?
I absolutely agree. One of the things that I always constantly tell myself prior to the pandemic, I prayed for a work from home position that I could be more involved with my families, but I did not pray for this. So Jesus plays a lot of games. He really got me with this one. So be careful what you pray for because he made me a teacher, a janitor, a cleanup person, a lunchroom, and everything else. At one time, but this time has strengthened our family, has given us time to really just stop with the busyness. I mean, our schedules are so busy. We all do so many things. I couldn't imagine if my older son was actually really still in school and going to work. I probably wouldn't hardly ever see him. So I love the fact that when I come out to get my coffee or sitting down before I start work, he's on his first break. So he comes out and sit out here too. And we get our time to talk because Mason is supposed to be in class. He comes to join sometimes. But the family dynamic has truly strengthened during this time. We've really gotten to know each other. We've really gotten to have some great talks, great laughs. My husband's got to show the kids a lot of shows that he really loves. So I love the fact that they've been able to see another side of their dad. And like they see enough of me, but it's been great that they actually see another side of him and what he likes.
You know, I know this has been a time for families to grow closer together and become stronger, but that is not necessarily the case in every family. Some families cannot stand being home together with each other, and it's caused a lot of stress, and it caused actually suicide rates have gone up, domestic violence rates have gone up, all during this time where everybody's stuck in the house. And it's a lot of it is because some people need to get out and they don't know what to do because that stressor is a part of their life now. And a lot of times we take things out on the people that are closest to us, the people that we should be loving too, we're not loving. So just so that we know that there is some people that, you know, you're blessed that your family is becoming stronger during this time frame. But we really do have to know that some other people need some other outs because this has been stressful for them.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you mentioned that because, yep, yeah, that's what I was talking about, like the trauma. And I know I only liken it to the children missing their friends or their teachers, but I can remember a time like when I was growing up when, you know, my family situation hasn't always been the best, but school was an outlet for me.
Right.
You know, like at least I can get away from the chaos when I'm at school. And then, like you said, the domestic abuse, you know, I know like if you're constantly together, anything could set you off. You know, you're irritated, frustrated, whatever, and now you're taking it out on each other. The other piece is probably, and I'm praying that no one in our, well, I'm praying for all, I always pray for children regarding what I'm about to say, but definitely within the ranks of HBCA, there's a lot of children maybe suffering from sexual abuse as well, because I know that all kinds of abuse is on a all-time high. So one of the things during that whole, like when it all came crashing down, was just this burden for our children, because I was so nervous that, like you said, the suicide rates, like they were not going to be able to process and digest it all. And especially with children that may suffer from sexual abuse, like how do I get away from my abuser if I can't go to school or if I can't tell anyone because they're right here with me all the time, that kind of thing. We did have a question here. It was related back to the news overload, I believe it was, because we do have a not a large population, but a significant population of biracial children at Highland Park. And so one of the questions for you, Reverend Barnett, was, do you have any advice if, like, for example, one of the parents is a different race, like if dad is white, mom is African-American, and you're trying to have that conversation with your African-American male, because they're going to see him as African-American first before they're going to see him sometime as biracial or embracing the white side of him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it actually makes sense. And when you said that, I was just trying to think, oh gosh, I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was a movie that was out that actually was the same type of situation. And actually it was a TV show, and the son was Black. He was adopted into a white family, and they didn't know how to handle the situation. So the mom found a Black family to help her understand some of the issues that he was having. And I think that's actually a good way of doing it. Also, one of the books I was going to recommend is Let's Talk About Race. When you have younger kids and they don't quite understand everything that's going on, the author is Julius Lester. And that would be actually a really, thank you, This Is Us. Yes, somebody. So yeah, those are some very important things, because if you're not involved in it and you don't grow up in those type of situations, you don't know how to relate to it. And it's always good to have someone that can relate to it. My son, even right now, says a lot of his, especially after the George Floyd incident, a lot of his co-workers and what have you would reach out to him just to get a better understanding of what was going on and why people were feeling the way they were feeling. And once he talked to them, it was like, oh man, I really didn't understand that. And now I have a better understanding of what's going on.
Go ahead.
Even with the Colin Kaepernick situation, him taking a knee because of all the violence against our Black boys. I had a coworker that really just told me, oh, that's just so unpatriotic. This has nothing to do about being patriotic. This is about people, taking people's lives that they have no right. They didn't give them life, and they don't have a right to take it away from them. It has nothing to do with whether they're patriotic or not. And because people don't really understand that, they haven't had to suffer at someone else's expense. And so it's always good to find someone that you can talk with that will be able to bring all that to light for you to make you have a better understanding.
Yeah, I agree. And then I will also say, if you have, Black males in your family, like for the question, Mrs. Wingfield, um, for example, if you yourself, have brothers, or if Dougie has uncles, I'm talking about on the African American side, that would be a good place as well. But also with dad just kind of educating himself around it. And another good resource is Mr. Ed Bowie. Mr. Bowie is one of our teachers. He's one of Edmund's teachers. He is a Caucasian man, but he's raising a biracial son. Mr. Bowie teaches history, and he does not exclude Black history. And I know that sounds weird. He's a Caucasian history teacher teaching Black history, but he is the best history teacher that I've ever come across. He does it in a objective way. He allows children to really understand the current events. But I'm quite sure he has to have conversations with Edmund himself, the talk, even though he's a Caucasian man raising a biracial son. So I would just say to you, Mrs. Wingfield, that Mr. Bowie probably is a good resource for you outside of the African American males in your family. Okay, so we're right at like the 10-minute mark. So we have just one last question. Doing good, ladies, doing good. So our last challenge is navigating shared custody. Oh my goodness. So I can't even imagine what that may have felt like for families. I mean, because it could have been a situation where with like the shared custody agreement during like the first shutdown, the child stayed with just one parent, which now means I'm not seeing my mom or my dad. And so that's going to be hard for me. Or if we do decide to still go back and forth, 1 week at this house, another week at this home or whatever, are we on the same page? Are you taking the same precautions of, keeping, good hygiene and social distancing and things of that nature? How can our families establish a regular routine of connection and quality time with each parent that demonstrates to the child or the children that they are loved, absolutely loved, even though they're apart from one parent, and that the other parent is still there for them? Anybody can answer that question.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take a stab at it first, and then I'll let Ms. Lancaster jump in. I think the key to all of it is communication. Both parents have to be in communication with one another, and they have to be on one accord.
Yeah.
Just like you just said, they have to agree to do the same thing in both households. You can't come here and have to wash your hands and stay socially distanced. And then when you get over there, there's always a party going on. And that will not work. That causes the child to have stressors within themselves because they don't know which way to act, because they're here like this one day and then they got to debrief and change their personality when they come around the other parent. And we don't want that for our children. It's really not fair to them. So it's just very important that the parents be on one accord. Let's agree what we're going to do, regardless to what home the child is in. Whether they're with mom or with dad, both parents should want what's in the best interest of the child. And so that needs to be ironed out before anything else happens. When the child is with the other parent, and if they have a need to be with the parent that they're not living with, make sure they have some opportunities to talk to them on the phone, or whether they have to do Duo or Zoom calls or FaceTime, whatever it takes. Make sure that connectivity is there and that they don't miss anything. Make sure if a child gets an award at Highland Park Academy, share that with the other parent. Just because he's there, the child is with you, make sure this other parent is included on everything that's going on. And once you get a chance to, then make sure they're able to spend time with both parents.
Yeah, I agree with a lot with what she said. Thankfully for us we only have one son that has to transition, and that's my middle son. He transitions between our house and his mom's house. With that, he spends more time with his mom than he does with us. We see him like on the weekends, and some weekends it just doesn't work. Like due to his basketball schedule, if it doesn't coincide with our schedule and what we have to do, sometimes we have to miss out and we just be like, oh, we'll have to see him like in 2 weeks. So like you said, with the FaceTime calls, like calling and checking on him, text him here and there, like how's everything going? And that's because he's older. So we can do that. With I would think in other family situations that may not be that simple and may not be that easy. I would really, like you said, just really hone in on communication. Communication is definitely key on trying to make that work. And I know that's not always easy. Even in our situation, it's not always easy. My son's mom is really likes to keep her son with her. And so sometimes she doesn't want to share that time with us all the time. And so that's difficult sometimes. We tried to get the kids away before the summer was over to my parents' house in Florida, and she wouldn't let them go. That was tough for us because we had to leave him behind, but we had to respect that she was still nervous about the pandemic, rightfully so. And, you know, it was just something we had to accept, but it was hard because my son had to miss out and did not like it at all. But, you know, I think communication is key, just understanding, and hopefully all parents can work together. I know it's not easy always. It's not.
Yeah, definitely. And I would just say from a school standpoint is that parents, is that you both stay connected to Highland Park. Like all the information shouldn't be funneled through one parent. You know, as just double checking to make sure that we have both mom and dad's email and that you're always kept abreast of, you know, what's going on in their virtual classrooms, any kind of events, updates, and things of that nature, because I know it's tough. But I think just having that, being on one accord, a lot of our families our children whose parents are divorced, it's now like a blended family situation. So now my mom has, you know, another family. My dad has another family. So it's blended. So it's important to show to that child, to the ambassador, that we are a strong force. We're together. We love you, because they still need to know that they're loved. And that even though I cannot be with you, doesn't mean that I'm not here for you. And then for even parents that are listening, when that child needs to hear from the other parent, do not deny them that. You know, like let them FaceTime, let them, like you said, Duo or Zoom or what have you. They need that because obviously there's something that's lacking in them at that particular moment. Now, I'm not saying if they're using it as a tactic, like because you told them no, now it's like, well, I want to see my father kind of thing. No, you know your children genuinely when they absolutely need to have that connection, because I know it's definitely tough with this whole shared custody piece. But I would just say hang in there, just keep having those open, honest conversations, and I just believe that it will work out. And then try to, if you all are at the point, I know that COVID is like on a resurge now, but if you all do feel comfortable where you can take your son or daughter out safely, do those kinds of things before we get to a point where it might be another shutdown. And then you can't see them you can only see them like online.
Yeah.
So guys, we just have 3 minutes left. Any more questions or comments from our parents? Panelists, you did a fantastic, fabulous job. I was nervous about our first webinar, but I'm so grateful that it went well. I'm thinking though, next time, I think I'm gonna make sure that it broadcasts live on Facebook so that other families can benefit from it. But really, it's obviously our target audience is Highland Park parents, but I think other parents could benefit from this as well. Parents, just a reminder, part 2 of it's a 3-part webinar series for families. Part 2 is happening November 9th. Same time, 6 p.m. and it's guilt-free parenting. I think that one is going to be really, really good because we're talking about knowing your parenting styles, because I know we're going to have some old school parenting, we're going to have some new school parenting, and everything in between. And yes, we have a dad that's going to participate in that webinar, and I'm super excited about that. And then part 3, our last one will be the Monday before Thanksgiving, which is November 23rd. And we're going to be talking about something that I'm very passionate about, which is managing stress and anxiety. Not only in adults and parents, but definitely in your children. Okay.
Yeah.
I did see, let me see, somebody said, well, HBCA allow a meet and greet for the children. Can you clarify what you mean, a meet and greet with the children? What do you mean? Are you talking about like a meetup?
I was going to say, one of the things the PTA is planning to do coming up in December, I don't know the exact date yet, but I know it will be before our Christmas holiday break. We will do another family skating event at the Crofton Skate, which is just HBCA families for that 2-hour break block. And so that would the last one we had at the beginning of the school year was great. We had a lot of families come out. The kids were so excited to see each other. They were excited to see some of their teachers. And the parents was just as excited. I had families come in matching shirts, HBCA shirts that they made. And so I definitely encourage, nope, that's my computer. Sorry.
That was my alarm letting me know.
No, it's my computer too.
Okay.
But I would encourage you definitely to come to that when we do that in December.
Okay. All right, thank you. Reverend Barnett, you want to close out? Okay, I see. Thank you, Miss. Okay, good. Ms. Reverend Barnett, can you close us in prayer, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Gracious Father, we thank you for this night, God. We thank you for an opportunity for some candid conversation. Lord, we know it's important that we stay in touch with one another, God, and you have made us to be connected. We are not to be in isolation. You didn't create us to be alone, and we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for Miss Wright, Lord. We thank you for her mindset, God, to know she wants to reach out to her parents to make sure that they're doing well. God, we thank you for the children of Highland Park Christian Academy, God. They are loved, and we want to make sure they know that they are loved. And we thank you, God, for everyone that had an opportunity to participate in this call this evening. God, whatever the families are in need of, we ask that you meet them at their needs. And this will not be the last time we will meet again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So have a good night, everyone. And I'll see you online. I'll see you again online. God bless you all.
Bye. Thank you.